Hey, legends. Frazer Brookes here, back with another episode of the Network Marketing Ninja podcast. Super excited to see you guys here. If you're watching on the YouTube video, do me a massive favor. Let me know that you've actually watched this or watching this by giving us a thumbs up, and don't miss a future episode. So make sure that you smash that subscribe button, and let me know where you're watching this video from in the comments below as well, because I'm joined by a very special guest and a superstar friend of mine, Loz Booth, what we call a Loz. So I'm going to go with Loz Booth all the way over in Australia. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Excited to be here. Thank you.
So excited to have you on here. So guys, if you are listening in on the podcast, then also make sure that you tune in for the entirety of this video, because in the show notes, we will be mentioning a link where you can go ahead and get a free guide that Loz has put together on all things that we're talking about in this episode, because she's helping so many people with this stuff, especially get their breakthrough with personal branding, content creation, establishing niche, and all of that fun stuff, niche, depending on what you want to call it, right? So Loz, you're amazing. You're one of my favorites, mainly because you help so many people in the inner circle, and your content's just funny. It's just funny. You know, like here's like, in my opinion, this is the fun test, right? So you go onto TikTok or Instagram. I'm just going to go with Instagram. And if there's someone in the room with you, or you have a friend who you just send reels to, we've all got that friend who sends us reels or we send reels to. And if you go, oh my God, Svet, you've got to watch this. I do that with so many of your reels that I often forget. I often forget to like and comment it on in the first place. I'm like, oh my, Svet, look at that. She watches it and she's like, oh no, I've lost it. And I'm like, oh no, I've lost it too. But please know that the engagement in real life is way more hysterical than me just going like, ha 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 ha. So
yeah,
you're flipping awesome.
And you know what? It's going to become even more relevant to you and Svet very soon when you become parents, right? If you're finding it funny now, in like a couple years time, like a year's time down the track, you're gonna be like, oh my God, now I totally get it. Now I totally get it.
You've honestly, guys, just go and follow. So, Loz, how would people find you on Instagram and TikTok? Is it like, what's your handle on there now?
So you can search on Loz Booth on both and you'll find me. I'm usually the first one that will pop up. On Instagram, it's Loz_Booth_, and on TikTok, it's the official Loz Booth.
Oh, the official one. You know, like
there's not many of us. I'm glad.
Yeah, legend. You're so awesome. So yeah, Loz Booth, LOZ BOOTH, not BOOF. Right? Like, I don't want anyone thinking it's like Booth, right? The reason why I tell you that is because I had a friend of mine, and then we're going to go into your story and stuff, guys. It's just what happens when these sort of things happen from time to time. I'm recording this. We could edit this out, but we're probably not going to. I had a friend of mine. His name was Steve Smith. Now, in the UK, like, Smith is just, it's like, come on, really? So he was at a boat show, and because he loves boats. And there was this 100-foot Sunseeker, and he was like, oh man, I really want to get on that. Like, because that is just, he was in network marketing. He was in my dad's organization years and years and years ago. He said, like, if I just get a photo on the Sunseeker, then like I could use it in my presentations and everyone's going to believe me. Yeah. These are in the days where, you know, fake it till you make it. So it was very prestigious, and they kind of, the guys at the entrance of the stand were always like, oh, well, you know, people are going to just try and get on here and drink the free champagne and that. So we need to kind of vet them first. So he gets up and they go, excuse me, sir, what's your name? And he goes, it's Mr. Smith. And they're like, right, mate. Okay. Oh, no, it's not SMITH. It's SMIFF. And they let him on because they were like, Mr. Smith, like, wow. And he got on, he took the photo, it was in his presentations, and he has a great story about it. And now I've got the great story about him telling me that. So, don't know, not relevant at all, really, but hey. So it's BOOTH for Boo.
Well, I'm just glad you haven't told them what your nickname for me is. I'm going to throw you in the deep end there. Come on, Frazer. What's my nickname? What's my nickname?
You'll find out Loz's nickname in the guide that she's going to give you towards the end of this. Right?
That was a good plug.
See, yeah, that was natural. All right, let's do it. So, Loz, you're amazing. We've established that. You're helping so many people. The people who are listening to this who you've helped will know that. You're awesome. Your energy is so good. Your positivity is epic. You're just a great human being. What was the story before, in my opinion, the glory? I know you've got many goals you want to crush, but for me, you're already a glorious human being. So, like, what's the story before you got into network marketing, before you and I met, before the inner circle? Like, what was the origin story there to this amazing hero we have in front of us?
Well, I was born in 1980.
In which hospital?
Yeah, look, so I grew up in Sydney. You know, and I think I'm going to go that far back because this is a really important part of my story.
100%.
You know, I grew up as a kid. I loved performing. You know, I had a dream to be on stage. And I got to a point in my life when I had the realization that someone like me, so someone with a hand difference, would never really go all the way. And it's a sad reality, but that's the way it was in the 1990s. And I had a passion, like I loved being on stage. I did a lot of musicals, I did loads of different things. But then I just got to a point where I had to basically, you know, just let my dreams go. And getting to know me, you'll know that have a pretty out there personality. So it would seem like a natural thing that I would want to do something like that, but I just had to let it go. And then I grew up. When I got a 9-to-5 job, I got married, I had kids, and then COVID hit. And then I was stuck at home, homeschooling my 2 kids. And look, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit since I was 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I was hustling hard. I had a cafe set up in my parents' kitchen selling overpriced cinnamon toast to any gullible neighbors that would actually come and buy it, which was most because they just loved me. I just put the boothy charm on. And so that's always been inside me. So I found myself in lockdown at home with my 2 kids, and I needed something else. And that's when I found network marketing. And that's how everything changed for me. Shall I go on?
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah. No, this is brilliant. So did you find it? Was it a Facebook post, Instagram post? Did someone message you? Like, did you see an advertisement? Was it in a newspaper? Like, how did you come across the industry of network marketing?
I was messaged directly from on Facebook from a new contact that I'd made. So she did it all the right ways.
And there's people out there going, cold messaging doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah. Okay. You keep believing that, dreamer. Because it definitely works. So you received this message. You were like, what have I got to lose? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You got involved during COVID. So what's happened since then?
So I joined this business. I gave it my everything and I was loving it. But then I found that the way to go, especially during lockdown and COVID, was to be building online. And, you know, I had an incredible team, incredible uplines, but I felt like I needed extra support. And I'll never forget, I was cleaning the house one day, right? It was one of those days where, like, if your mum's listening, it was one of those days where I was like, yeah, I've got a 6-hour job in front of me, right? So I was cleaning and I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to a podcast. And then I came across this guy, okay? The reason I have this, by the way, I came across this guy and I thought, this guy looks cool. And that was actually the exact photo that I saw. I thought, this guy looks cool. I'm going to listen. And I started listening and I was just blown away about how humble you were and just how natural and just how nice you are. Because I find that especially in this industry, there are different styles of coaching and some can be really full on. And I just loved that you were just so natural. So I started listening to your podcasts and I was addicted. I was listening to those podcasts since the days when you would just sit in your apartment in Germany and have it on your phone, right? Not before this fancy studio.
I know.
But yeah, I that's and I thought, this is my guy. And then I did so many of your you just give so much value away for free. It's just insane. And I did so many of your courses, and then I thought, okay, it's time. I needed to step things up, and that's when I joined Inner Circle. And that point, that changed the trajectory of everything for me. And this is gonna sound, soppy, but it's not just my business, it's my life. That changed everything for me because I unlocked the power of reels that you taught me, which unlocked this inner performer. And if you guys have seen any of my content, you'll see just how crazy I am. But that's because I've been able to tap into the old me who loved performing. I found this new platform to be able to express my creativity. And what has come from that is absolutely insane. And I've been able to achieve things I'd never, ever imagined. And not just on a business side, a personal side. It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch. I think like one of the things I've saw in your journey in this is you mentioned it, and this is before I didn't know the performer background. I didn't even know the hand difference. Never even, because I was so obsessed with like the content and the energy, never even noticed. Until like one time it came up, I was like, "Oh no way!" I didn't even know, because for me it didn't even come into the equation. And I think it was when it became super obvious, because we chatted when you were starting to create content, and it was a bit here, a bit there, a bit of mum life, bit of funny things, bit of copying the trends, and then all of a sudden, it was like you knew exactly what you wanted to like talk about. You knew exactly what you wanted to talk about. The style of content, how you're going to do it. And you've gone in from this, like a bit of this, a bit of that, to a clear direction, but now an obvious way to give value as well. And as a result of that, Loz is one of the Inner Circle mentors. So for the people who are in the Inner Circle, you most likely will know who Loz is, because she's one of the key components of the mentors program. But if you don't know, the Inner Circle, a big part of the Inner Circle is our mentors program. And basically, whenever you feel stuck, whenever you feel like you got a challenge, whenever you feel like you need clarity, you want some feedback, you can book a 15-minute call with any of the mentors, covering social media, duplication, mindset, any of these main things. And they'll get on a phone with you on a Zoom call with you. Nearly said Skype. They'll get on a Zoom call with, I know, that'd have been awkward, right? They get on a Zoom call with you and they'll walk through your challenge and give you an assignment. And the one I would say, Loz, you obviously cover the social media stuff a lot. Because that's kind of one of your specialities now. What would you say is one of the biggest questions that you get asked from the guys in the Inner Circle? Like, Loz, I'm really challenged with this. Like, what do you feel like the main one or two are?
Yeah, niche. Or niche. Niche. Yeah. Without a doubt, niche. And now as we're starting to educate more, personal branding, without a doubt, like who do I need to be? Who do I need to show up as online? What am I talking about? And who am I talking to?
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
No, so like, again, like, because you've gone through this journey yourself, and it's, as you said, it's like unlocked the inner performer in you with clear like certainty and a clear vision of create this content, have conversations in the messenger with people, make sales, build a team, happy days. But correct me if I'm wrong, but are you also seeing or sensing or feeling in any way, and again, I could be wrong, that, as well as having my network marketing business, I might also be able to monetize my brand using social media. I might be able to create a side income one day in the future. Have you had those thoughts yet?
Yeah, plenty. That's pretty
Right.
much my
It's exciting, right? It's exciting.
Yeah, and it's crazy because so much has. If I was to plan out, well, we did your incredible game plan workshop at the beginning of the year, which, by the way, I'm so excited. It's honestly, I was saying to someone today, it's one of my favorite events of the year. I just love it. It's so exciting. When I was doing that game plan, I can tell you that I never imagined that I would be earning money, that Facebook would be paying me for my reels. And, I'm constantly messaging you and going, oh, guess what has happened? And this has happened. So yeah, it's so exciting. And there is so much more, Frazer, that's come of this.
I love it.
I've partnered with brands, really big brands in Australia as well. I had no desire to go down that track, but it's been a massive benefit. And that's been incredible. And you need to remember that, I'm running my business and I have these side perks and, extra income streams. It's been amazing. But something else that has come of all of this has been the impact I've had on others, and not just through my business, but through, me going up and showing up as my true authentic self on social media. I've been able to impact other families. I get messages from parents that have kids with hand differences that message me and say, hey, thanks so much for showing up and not caring and being confident. Like, that's just next level. Like, I never imagined that I would have that type of impact. And, that's aside from me helping people with my product and my business opportunity. Like, it's just absolutely insane what can be accomplished.
And one of the things, this is amazing. One of the things as well is your son. You have two sons. You have two sons, don't you? Two boys. So your boys as well, honestly, I mean, like, it's going to happen in the future. But they are going to have zero excuses to go and make an incredible life for themselves. Because they saw mum do it. They were like, mum had reasons that she could have been like, you know what? Nah, I don't want to show up online. But she did it. And they live in the online world where making money online is probably going to be something to do with their future jobs and future careers or future passions, future projects that they do. And they're going to get so inspired by seeing you do it and go back 10 years to be like, mum was an absolute beast. Like, we should not take this for granted. Mum was like top 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. So, all right, you've got this amazing guide, right? Because you've obviously had so many calls. I was looking at the numbers earlier. Check this out, guys. Let me get the numbers up, because I asked for one of the team if they could let me know. Loz has done nearly 400 calls with people in the inner circle. It probably just ticked over. It was 395 2 days ago. So it's probably ticked over 400 recently, right? So 400 calls, completed calls. So, which is what? 100 hours. 100 hours with people, mainly about personal branding, content creation, and niche. So she's taken that 100 hours plus her own experience, created a guide. So whilst the guys can go and get the guide, you can go in the show notes, you can go in the YouTube description down below. You'll see the link in there. If it's available to download, you'll see the link. If it's not, you won't. So if the link is there, make sure you click it and don't miss out on that. But what are some of the tips that you would give people who are tuning in, who are like, oh, I'm struggling with the niche or the niche. I'm struggling with the personal brand. Like, I'm just seeming to post everything and anything. I'm posting about my meal. I'm posting about my dirty clothes that I've got to wash for the kids. I'm posting about being a mom. I'm posting about being network marketing. I'm posting about my product. I'm posting about my opportunity. I'm sharing Samantha's dog photos. They're posting all these things. What are some of the tips that you can give that maybe are complemented in the guide to help these guys move forward?
Absolutely. Look, I think before getting to the tips, it's really important to understand the why. Why is personal branding so important? Personal branding is so important because, first of all, it's going to set you apart from everyone else. We saw the biggest increase of network marketers jumping onto social media during COVID. And it's very common for people to start a new network marketing company and jump on, and let's just say this is my product for those on YouTube, and just do this and show up. Of course I'm a mum. Of course I have Buzz Lightyear on my desk.
I love it.
right?
buzzing.
But it's very sorry.
I'm buzzing. I'm a bad joke. Yeah, really. I'm not dad yet as well. Yeah, it's gonna be bad, isn't it? Sorry. I stopped your flow.
It's like, okay, yeah. We knew that it was going to end up this way, right? I love you. Okay, so it's very common when we jump into business that we get really excited about our product. We get really excited about a product and we want to tell everybody about our product. Like, that's natural. And I don't want anyone to ever think that, oh my gosh, no, I'm doing the wrong thing. No, it's fine to be excited. That's awesome. But as you progress in your business, you want to get better and you want to keep learning. You know, that's why we, listen to people like Frazer. You need to keep constantly learning. And the reason why personal development is so important is because not only is it going to set you apart from the rest, but you're building up a foundation for everything you do on social media. And what I mean by that is that you want your online presence and your brand to be you and not your product, because a product has no personality. A product isn't relatable. You can't get to know a product. It's just a thing. And I say this, and this is pretty controversial, and I've been saying it a lot to people recently, but more than likely your product or service can be found anywhere. And a lot of people don't like to hear this. I'm not saying your exact product can be going to, you can go and purchase it at your local supermarket, but something like that. So what's the point of difference? You need to be the point of difference, because if that person can go off and get your product anywhere, then why would they buy it from you? But if they get to like, know, and trust you, then that's the point of difference. So, I mean, honestly, I could speak about personal branding all day because it's something I'm so passionate about. But it's, building up a personal brand is a way to get yourself out there and for people to relate to you, for people to know you. And then you sprinkle in your product in between. And I've been saying this a lot lately, that when you're building up a personal brand, you always need to lead with value. Always. And when I say value, what I'm talking about is value content. Value content is content you're putting out there that you're giving value. It's not to do with your product. It's not to do with your service. Always leading with value. And when you're leading with value, that's how you build up a following. And this is an example I've been using a lot recently. When people jump onto social media, they jump on to be inspired, motivated, educated, or entertained. Like, that's it.
Always.
And when people jump onto social media, it's usually when they're sitting on the toilet or they're, they do the scroll in bed at night. Like, I know. Don't deny it. Nobody goes, all right, I'm going to go and lay in bed now, and I want to have a look at a whole lot of ads on TikTok. I want to go and jump on Facebook and look at nothing but ads. Nobody does that. So why would you want your news feed to be constant advertising? Just product. You need to lead with value. You need to connect. You need to create a community. You need to engage. And then when you build up that likability, that trust, then you can sprinkle your product in there, and then it's going to have much more sprinkle. For the podcast, we're doing a little, what is it? The little
salt bay, a little sprinkle bay.
When you sprinkle your product in there, you'll have so much more of an impact, but always leading with value. So my tips on personal branding.
And just before that, Loz, I mean, no, amazing, because there's just something I think would definitely help the guys, is that I want you to imagine that there's a cupcake store in town, right? Your nearest town. If you're in Australia, you might have to drive 7 days to your nearest town or whatever it might be. And then obviously Sydney and Melbourne, you're all right. But I know those of you who are in the outback listening to this, it might take you a while to get into Cairns city centre or whatever. I love you guys. You know that.
So cute.
So you go to the cupcake store. There are 3 parts of the cupcake. There's the body, there's the icing, and then there's the sprinkles. So the main part of the cupcake is the body, which is the value, right? The value holds the most amount of volume of the cupcake. The icing is the exciting part. That might be your lifestyle, right? Maybe you're going to show mum life, or you're going to show you traveling, or you learning and earning and growing. And then the tiny little sprinkles on top of the sales messages. Whether it's in the messenger or you do one every so often when you're talking a bit more direct about your product, your opportunity, or your service, right? But no one goes into the cupcake store and goes, hey, can I just have a load of sprinkles, please? Like, no one asks for that. Like, they'll have the cupcake. Oh, can I have some extra sprinkles? Yes, but no one just goes, hey, can you just give me like the 10, like the equivalent to 10 cupcakes in thousands, I think they're called hundreds and thousands, the little sprinkles, hundreds and thousands, please. Like, no one's doing that, right? And if they do, they're odd, or they're a unicorn, okay? Like one of the two, an odd unicorn. All right, so anyway, branding tips. You got some branding tips, which are also in the guide, which I've referenced a bunch of times now. You guys know where to get that. So yeah, branding tips.
Yeah, so my first branding tip, and these are basically the 4 pillars of personal branding. So the first one is be memorable. Okay, so be memorable, be distinct, and be really clear about what you're talking about. And that, what you're talking about and the value you're creating is another whole subject completely. And that is one thing that people get stuck on. And my tip with that is that you need to really dig deep. And that's what, again, this guide will help with. It's like a brain dump of your interest, your vibe, everything that you want to be. So be memorable, be distinct. The second one is trust and loyalty. We know we talk about this a lot. It's so, so important that when you show up on social media, you are your true, authentic self. Don't be someone you're told to be. And I see this quite a bit. I get this quite a bit, to be honest, in mentor course, Frazer, that people will say, you know, my upline is telling me this or that, or I should do this. I had someone on the weekend say to me, they posted this hilarious reels about Spanx, right? She was hilarious. And her upline said, no, this is your personal brand at the end of the day, and it's your business. You need to show up as your true, authentic self. If you want to show up and, you know, jiggle your stuff in the kitchen like I do in my pajamas, then do that. If you want to talk about plants all day, do that. But do what you're passionate about. Speak about what you're passionate about. It needs to be sustainable. You need to have enough material to carry on. Can you continue talking about that for 5 years? Most importantly, it needs to light you up inside. It needs to light you up inside. Energy is everything. I hope you feel the energy now, because I get excited talking about this stuff. It literally gives me shivers. Like, do what lights you up. Consistency.
And on that as well, like if you want a definition of branding is a promise to your audience so that they know what they're going to get. Like that's what it is. It's like when they go on social media, oh, it's Loz, I know I'm going to laugh. Oh, it's Sarah, I know that I'm going to see her jumping around in her Spanx. Oh, it's Mary, I know that I'm going to get some personal development tips. Oh, it's like, that's what your brand is. It's a promise to your audience for them to know exactly what they're going to get from you. And it's not like, oh, I wonder, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get. Like, if people are thinking, I don't know what I'm going to get, you haven't got a brand. So anyway, be memorable, trust and loyalty. What's the next one?
Well, the dream team, because that's a good segue for the next one, which is consistency.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Consistency. Pretty much exactly everything you just said. Consistency. And I always like explaining it that consistency is like a cozy warm blanket for your followers and friends. And this is a thing, right? I love analogies. You've got me hooked on analogies. It's like me going and putting a blanket on my son who's fast asleep. All right. He's got no sheet on and it's cold. He doesn't realize he needs it. But once it's on, he's nice and cozy. And it's the same thing. Your followers like that consistency. That my followers like that on Tuesdays, I'm going to post a quote every week. They like that. The mums that lay in bed trying to get their kids to sleep because, you know, the child is being annoying. Sorry, I'm a good mum, I promise. But the child is like whinging and they've got like AirPods in and they're watching. I know this because these are the messages I get. These mums know that they can jump onto my social media and there's going to be a new mum life, you know, reel. So it's that consistency. You need to be reliable to your audience because reliability creates consistency in consuming. That's it. Because if they're consistently consuming, then they are becoming part of your community. The moment that you stop being consistent, look, they're not going to cry into their, like, you know, these mums aren't going to cry into their pillows going, Laura didn't post a reel today. But what they are going to do is they're going to find someone else to follow, and then the algorithm will start sending them their content. So it's about consistency.
Yeah, and it's important as well, because like on that, some of you guys have heard me say this before, but there's something I follow called the rule of 3. So for every one day you miss, you go back 3 days. Like if you land on chance in Monopoly, you pick up the card and it goes, take 3 steps back, and then everyone overtakes you. And it's like, why? Why did that happen? So for those of you who post on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then don't bother doing anything on the Saturday and Sunday, you don't bother building your brand in any capacity, you just basically ruined a whole week's worth of work on your brand, because it only goes back, as Loz just said, like if they're not watching Loz, they're watching someone else. And if they're watching, the more they watch someone else, the less likely they're going to go and watch Loz. So yeah, I love that. It's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. And my following, no, as I said, you know, Tuesdays, content planning should be really simple. You know, we have, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but we have so much to do in our business. And you can keep it really simple when it comes to content planning. The algorithm likes, especially on Facebook, it likes that consistency. Obviously, every social media platform likes consistency. They're going to reward you for it. But the followers like the fact that on a Tuesday, they know, and they don't actually acknowledge it, but they know that a quote is coming, and they kind of like that. They know that on Monday, I'm going to say happy Monday. And the Americans love it, because every Monday they go, it's not Monday, it's Sunday. And we have that same conversation. We have that same conversation every week, and they actually like that. So consistency, I mean, it's a no-brainer, but a lot of people still just aren't doing it. And last but not least, kind of already touched on it, value, lead with value. I believe in the 90-10 rule, which is 90% value and the sprinkles, 10% on top. So categories of value are entertainment, education, inspiration, and motivation. And as you were saying before, the closer you can align to one of those themes, the easier it is to be known for that. And that's how you build a brand. Now, I don't do inspiration, and I feel a little bit funny inside when I think about this, but I've done, like, when I was trying to find my way, and as you were saying before, I got to that point where everything, like the light bulb went on, and it just became very clear what my value was and what my brand needed to be. I was playing around, you know, this and that. And we've got to understand that you're not going to listen to this podcast. You're not going to do the worksheet and everything is going to change. It's a journey. And it was a journey for me. I've been creating content for 2 years, and I can say that it's only really been in the last 6 months that I have had that realization. All I need to do is mum life comedy. That's all you're going to do. And you're going to pump out a whole lot of it. But before that, I was trying different things. It was part of my journey. I was trying inspiration. There are videos of me doing inspiration, like inspirational quotes. Like, it makes me feel, I'm like, Mum, you can do it. And I look back at that, and it's not me. You know, when I constantly talk about being yourself, that's not me. And you know, each to their own. Like, you know, if you want to go and do inspiration, motivation, like that content goes so well, but I'm sticking to my true authentic self, and my true authentic self is to do comedy. And since I have been super clear and stuck to that one theme, that's how I've been able to build this personal brand. And that's when my following has just gone crazy. So be memorable, trust and loyalty, consistency, and value.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that as well, because you're actually being inspirational indirectly. So your value is not inspirational, but people are finding you in it as a source of inspiration for them, because you're doing what they wish they could do. You're making them laugh. You're making them laugh when they didn't realize that you could. And like, you just showing up, and you get the messages. You get the messages from people who have the hand differences, and the mums who have kids with the hand differences, and so on and so forth. And you're paving the way. So your intention is not the inspiration, but you are creating the other types. So you're saying that mum life comedy, which is maybe more entertainment, but you're educating people because you're giving them ideas of what they can do, or you're making them laugh, which is also education. You're motivating them because they feel fired up to contact. Because whenever you laugh, you feel better, which is also a source of motivation. And then you're inspiring people. So you kind of do get all four. But as you said, you're focusing on like the one source of value. Before we wrap up, there's one thing you mentioned about, you know, consistency, and you always mention, like, you know, on the Mondays, you're always like, hey guys, it's Monday, and to my American friends, it's Sunday. Like, I always use hey legends. I always say where I'm coming live from. People are like, why'd you keep saying your name? It's familiarity, right? I always use Mary and Bob. I always do that. I'll always say legends. I'll always use that. Why? Because the word family is in the word familiarity, right? It's just the first few letters and then the letter Y at the end. The more familiar someone can get with you, the more like a family member they feel. Like, I know loads about Loz. Like, I know this. Wow, I know so much about Loz. Like, she feels like a sister to me. She feels like a mom to me. She feels like a daughter to me, whichever perspective they have. So, Loz, this has been amazing. But honestly, guys, the guide, which we've mentioned 7,824 times throughout this podcast and this video, it honestly goes deeper, and it's not just the typical, like, tip number one, tip number two. It's not that typical. It is an exercise, right? It's more like a cheat sheet or a blueprint or a, you know, mind dump, brain dump, whatever you want to call it. It's really great. And Loz has given it to you guys. So here's what I would do. Step one, go and click the link that's in the show notes or the description and download the guide. Number two, once you've gone through it, Loz might not like me for this, and she'll be okay with it. Take a photo once you've completed what you see on the guide and send it to Loz. Like, Loz, I followed the thing. Like, you know, go on Instagram and just go, you know, I think it was at Loz_Booth_, right? Go and message her and just say, like, Loz, I did it. Woo! And she'll most likely go and cheer you on and, you know, support you in the best way that she could. Third thing, once you've completed watching this episode of the podcast or the YouTube, do me a favor, screenshot whatever's on your device, right? Hopefully there's something like that makes me and Loz look good and not like usually my face like that. I'm like most people.
Yeah, just screenshot that right now. Yeah, right?
Yeah, just screenshot that, put it onto your Instagram stories and tag us both at Frazer Brookes Online and at Loz_Booth_. That was right? Loz_Booth_, right?
That's it.
And yeah, I hope you got value from this. Loz, thank you so much. I really appreciate you as a person, the value that you bring inside the inner circle, and obviously the value that you brought to the rest of the network marketing community here as well. So big love. I appreciate it. And look forward to the next time.
Thanks so much, mate. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.